Jo? Is Jo well? Has she gotten herself confused over her own name?
Oh, dear me. I distracted myself.
It's okay. I accidentally opened the stream up and you may have heard yourself. Sorry about that.
Please don't do that. It's awful.
It's so weird.
I don't like it at all.
Anyway, we're up on D Live.
Yes, we are.
Are we on YouTube? Let's find out.
I don't know yet.
That we've confused everybody by actually being here on time. This new professional version of us.
Evening, English Will, Cockney Nutjob. Good evening. Hope you're well. Good evening, Andrew.
Evening all. There we go. YouTube's working.
Thank you. Confirmed. Okay, so welcome everyone. Another professional intro. Yes.
Do you know what's remarkable? The chat hasn't seen this yet, but we even somehow managed to mess up a recorded intro. They're going to find out that soon enough.
Oh, God. Good evening, Sir Francis, and Kate, and Johnny Not Pal. It's so good to have you all here. Welcome to the Warden's Meeting. We've got a fair bit to go through this evening. Do you want to talk about lemons, Jordan, and just get that one out of the way?
Yeah, apparently we have them back. And Nick has them back as well. So, yeah.
Yes. So, don't exactly know what happened, but apparently good little boys and girls got their lemons back. I genuinely don't understand. They haven't emailed us or anything.
I'm back. I returned.
You left?
I did. I was cut off halfway through a sentence. Didn't you notice?
No, I told you I don't listen to you. I'm so sorry.
Well, anyway, what I said was that we've got our lemons back. Nick does as well. I have no idea why we have our lemons back. Such is life.
Exactly.
You know, so the lemon carousel continues, apparently.
Yes, indeed.
Even so. I'm excited, Jo. How are you?
Excited?
Yes, I'm excited. Do you know why I'm excited? Because today an old friend returns from the dead once more.
Oh, really?
Yes, Tony Blair. He's back. He's back in his new fandangled cybernet form.
I don't like that phrase, old friend. He's like a vampire preying on the weak and innocent.
He looks like a vampire these days. He looks very, very odd. But even so, the reason I bring this up and the reason I'm so excited is because the favourite punching bag is back. And this time he returns with his national identity card nonsense.
Yes, a digitalised version, but it's still the same thing.
Cyber Blair. That's what we're going to call him from now on.
Exactly. Oh, Kate says, I can't put it up on the screen, Kate, but okay, I've never heard that before. I would never have thought to call them lemons.
I'm not going to say why.
You clearly know something I do not.
I can just guess. Anyway, I'm going to pop a link into chat.
Yes. So we must. Well, I came across this. This is really weird, and obviously, great minds think alike. Andrew posted this up on our Discord, and Jordan said, "Oh, I meant to share this with you and discuss it."
Yeah, Andrew put me onto this, so thank you for that, mate.
And then I came across it somewhere else, and I showed it to Jordan, and he said, "Oh, meant to discuss this with you." So here we are.
I have a slight trigger warning for anybody who clicks on that link. Please be aware if you've got young children around, just scroll down very, very quickly because you are going to see the gimpiest face ever.
Yeah. What is up with these politicians?
Matt Wallman, I'm sorry, lad. Just please put the mask on.
Right, one second. People are saying page not found.
Ooh. Why is that?
I don't know. Let me try and post the link I've got. Well, there's a couple of bits. First of all, here is the. Right, let me see which one have I got.
Andrew has posted the link in D-Live. I'm just going to post it onto YouTube. Where'd it go? Yes, it went. Ooh, the future is here.
Why is mine posted twice?
I only see it once.
No, it says www, all that stuff. The UK Digital Identity and Attributes Trust Framework / the UK Digital Identity. It's so good they named it twice. What?
Oh no, that's just the. It's because it takes you to the actual document itself.
Ah, right. So we've got the overarching selling point, and then we've got the actual document. If you want to have a look at those, it's posting to all of our channels.
Good enough for me.
That means something else is wrong. Please work tonight. Yeah, it's quite a lengthy document to go through, but I picked out some highlights. For those of you who have already read it, you'll know exactly what's involved. And a big thank you to Andrew for bringing this to everyone's attention on the Discord and asking people to have a read of it and to go and make their feelings known. For those of you who haven't yet seen it, it's awful.
There is one bit in particular I'd really, really like to highlight. If you scroll down almost halfway, it is in 2.3. It goes on about submitting an annual exclusion report. This here is when you have to send in a report to the government explaining why it is your product isn't being taken up by certain demographics. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's the general gist is that it says that not everyone needs to create this digital identity, but it's implied there that if you don't, you're going to lose access to certain things. They're trying to create a trust network, and the amount of work involved for companies that want to be a part of this trust network, assuming that those who are excluded from this trust network will be second tier, let's say, it's an amazing amount of work. They have to hire specific staff to to monitor information, to store it, to record it. A lot of companies just won't have the staff with which to deal with this. They're going to have to hire. They're going to have to hire staff specifically to deal with this. It's their responsibility to ensure that their staff are qualified to deal with it. So yeah, there's a lot there. For the user, for the people using this, or the citizens, as they fondly refer to us, you don't have to make it. And if you do, you don't have to share all of your information in most cases. So just be aware of this. Share it with everyone you know. As Kate points out, and as Andrew did on the Discord, it is correct. The cutoff is tomorrow. So if you'd like to make your views known, then please do. This is going to. They're very clearly stated in one part that this is going to be introduced into law, but it will be subject to change, essentially as they see fit. Once this becomes law, your ability to reject this or to no longer engage with it will, or at least your opportunity will be gone. And once they have this information, of course, they can use it anywhere at any time for any reason. Andrew says, this is how our rights die, hidden and obfuscated. Obfuscated, I can't speak, by almost meaningless legal jargon. The jargon is amazing.
The amount of jargon in this is actually quite astounding.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting because this is the sort of thing that we said months and months and months ago that they're going to try and push through on the sly. I don't remember what example we were using, but I remember this probably about 5 or 6 months ago now, saying that the government are going to start trying to push stuff through while we're being blinded by COVID. And isn't it interesting that this runs out tomorrow after the Merkel nonsense? Markle, rather. Not Merkel. Markle, the other one. The American version.
Again, the media make no mistake, does the bidding of the government. They're supposed to hold them to account. So is the shadow cabinet. They're supposed to hold them to account. And they do, but they're very choosy in the ways that they do. What they also are very good at is distracting you from what's actually happening that's important by filling page after page with nonsense that nobody really cares about and that ultimately doesn't matter. I imagine there are going to be people focusing on the Merkel nonsense tonight. I don't care what colour her skin is. She came to our country, has done nothing but whine and complain about how it hasn't, basically kissed her feet or taken the knee, and accuse the media of being racist, and that's laughable. And essentially said that she was made to feel unwelcome. Well, I remember headline after headline of people just, treating it like a fairy tale wedding, and they were adored and everything. So it's all rubbish. It's all nonsense. It's all there to distract us. So it's very important that we don't be distracted, because real important stuff like this is the thing that they don't want us to focus on. And this is the important stuff. This is why we need people, all of you, to keep an eye on things like this and make everyone aware of it. That's our duty. Or if we can't change things, we can certainly at least make sure people are aware of them.
Yeah,
and
this is the most important thing. Sorry. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know whether it was the right time. Oh, whatever. It's always the right time for a Johnny Not Powell joke. You ready?
Always. Go on.
My boss is threatening to fire the employee with the worst posture. I have a hunch it might be me. But
as I was saying, I did talk over you. I didn't mean to. The most important thing here, when it comes to filling out this silly little form, complaining to them that we don't like it, first off, take it seriously. Don't just put no. Because interestingly enough, when you go to fill the form out, they say that if you don't, you have two options basically. It's like you can fill out the short version of the form, or you can fill out the long version of the form. If you only fill out the short version of the form, you basically have to write a small essay on why it shouldn't go through. And they're quite open about that, which is remarkable. I would have imagined the entire point of telling the government, no, we don't like this, is you can just leave it there. You don't actually have to explain yourself. Apparently. The really, really useful thing about this is all that anti-government sentiment that's around at the moment, we can combine that with this country's absolute despisement of Tony Blair, smush them together and get people to associate this thing with both parties. Like both entities, I meant, sorry, not parties.
This is his brainchild. He may not be the name attached to it, but this is certainly something he has been pushing for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
In an upcoming podcast, Jordan and I talk about government incompetence. I won't say any more than that. You'll find out. You'll find out on Friday. But it really kind of hits you that the same government that are so, and not to confuse incompetence for malicious behaviour, but in some cases they are incompetent. We had a good chuckle over that. We hope you will too. But these same I was going to say incontinence then.
I was about to say that.
These same incompetents are essentially saying, give us all of your information and trust us. Trust us. They call it the trust network because they want to instill this idea of trust with government. It's another nudge. And those of you who've been watching our Tuesday Tyranny series will know exactly what a nudge is. Making connections.
We're going to be going into much more detail on that next Tuesday.
Yes. But they want you to make this connection that government equals trust. After everything they've done, after the awful impositions we have had to swallow for the last year, the emotional and mental abuse that's been inflicted on our children, they want you to think that government equals trust. And that's what this is all about. A trust network of people who sell our information to the highest bidder. A trust network of companies assigned by the government, by the same people we don't trust, that we can somehow trust because the word on the network is trust. It's really rather amazing marketing. And it's all ultimately nonsense. I would argue the most hated man in Britain is behind at least the idea, if not the implementation. I'm sure we'll find out that one of Tony Blair's crony companies is running this.
It would actually be really interesting to look into this, look into all the individuals involved in this and see who they're connected to. He is going to crop up. There is no way that they're trying to push yet another digital identity card thing, and he's not involved in it. Especially considering that really he's been pretty silent up until, 2017? I think is when he started popping up again, shortly after Brexit.
He's always got an opinion. I'm literally at the point now where whatever Tony Blair says, I want to do the opposite.
Oh, have safe option.
Of course, if we started doing that, they'd use that against us. They'd have told the truth occasionally.
I think if he was to speak the truth, his mouth would catch on fire. I'm not sure he's capable of doing that.
He certainly knows the difference between the truth and lies, doesn't he? It's just that he doesn't repeat one of them ever. Johnny Not Powell says, I typed totalitarianism, send. Good for you. Good evening, Mr. Kipling. How nice of you to drop in. Good to see you. And I believe we are joined by a Wild Will. Good evening, Will. Free gamer. I just caught you there. I scrolled down and I just saw you. Chat's actually behaving for a while. That was me scrolling too fast. I know. Just a quick disclaimer. When I say the chat's behaving, I mean the chat function. Okay, I don't mean
it can go a little bit crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
It hasn't done it in a while, thankfully, but it really, really, really enjoyed Johnny Not Powell's comment.
Oh, the last time Andrew was on, when it kept freezing and then repeating itself in cycles and they just flying past.
Exactly, he really enjoys doing that. That's what I was trying to say, and then he caught me off guard. You're a day too early for a gardening joke.
Kate says it's like the phrase social distancing. What they actually mean when they actually mean antisocial. Language has been weaponized. It certainly has, and we need to start being wise to this. Absolutely, and stop allowing them to influence us with words.
We didn't read the joke out.
Oh, which one?
We just laughed at it, and that's as far as it went. Johnny Not Powell said, "Blair reminds me of the tree in my front garden. Shady."
Ah, right. Oh, I got you now. Sorry, I didn't see it.
What were you laughing at?
I was laughing at you. When Muttley comes out, that's it. It just sets me off.
That is a great joke.
He is so. He's like a snake, isn't he?
Trust him as far as you can throw him.
If he was in Harry Potter, he'd definitely be in Slytherin. That's all I'm saying. There's just something wrong about him.
I think even Voldemort would draw some objections to him, to be honest.
Oh, what am I saying? He'd be Voldemort.
No, I think even Voldemort would disassociate with him.
Maybe. He definitely...
The thing I find really, really interesting is, when was it? It was, I must say February, early February, maybe late January. There was that video from the World Economic Forum thing. I didn't really understand it. It was very, very strange, but it was basically some sort of weird hacking test that they ran between a Russian bank and these hackers trying to hack into it, going into the importance of digital safety. And Tony Blair was there pushing this idea of literally exactly this, a digital identity network. It never really tweaked at the time, but I probably should have Googled it and see what came up. because there is no way that isn't planned.
Well, I mean, this network is going to be created from private companies. And again, it's very specifically goes through. Well, there's a couple of real highlights to take from this if you can't be bothered to read the whole thing right now. And that is essentially that they are trusting other people to share the information correctly. There's a lot of responsibility on companies to ensure that the person asking for this information is entitled to it. The answer to that is always no, by the way. And the companies have all the responsibility for setting this up, for essentially storing the information properly. They keep bringing up the Data Protection Act, these people who would sell our private information in a heartbeat. There's one phrase that came up that, I don't know, some of this is quite chilling. They talk about establishing a governance and oversight function to own these rules, keep them up to date, and make sure they are followed. What does that mean, own them? Very weird.
I've just found that section. They're right at the very, very top.
Yep.
Establish a governance and type function to own these rules. Well, I could imagine what they mean is just set up basically a Quango, like an Ofcom. But that's a very, very odd way to word such a thing.
Why use the word own, though? What about to establish, to facilitate? I don't know. I've never seen that in a government document ever.
No, I haven't either. It's weird.
And they keep talking about how this can restrict opportunities for criminals and protect people. Well, who's going to protect us from the government? They keep talking about an alpha version of this document. And there is some explanation, but it's just really silly. All the trust framework joining requirements in the alpha are subject to change in line with the feedback we receive. They're going to continue to work with their international partners. So this is your global identity that any country can access and share with anyone else. They talk about attributes. These are your pieces of personal information. It says here that you can choose when and with whom you share them. But once you've shared them, how do you control who that person shares them with?
You know this is particularly bad because every example they give, they're trying to be as pleasant as possible.
Yes.
But every example is basically, it's a mild convenience to you. For example, Cliff needs to prove his identity to apply for a loan online. Doing this creates a digital identity. Cliff can only use this digital identity to complete his application and open an account. He cannot use it to do anything else. Basically, if he already had a digital identity, he wouldn't even need to log in.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just going to say, it's basically a single sign-on. I scroll up and that's what I see. A digital identity is not the same as a user account or a single sign-on, although a user might need to prove their identity to get one of these. This is literally how it sounds. It sounds like it is a single sign-on for everything.
I don't want to be all doom and gloom with this particular document, but if you remember, we were talking about the potential for the internet to go down, and of course we all agreed, well, that would never happen because they've been pushing a cashless society for quite some time. But then I suggested that what maybe might happen instead is that you will only be able to access the websites the government allows you to. This could facilitate that quite easily. For instance, there will be no more online anonymity. You will have to verify who you are to use any account. There will also be the potential for online access to, let's say, only banking and shopping, which is another concern. And while I thought that they might restrict access to these other platforms like social media platforms or outlets across the board, unless you verified yourself, this in effect is the same thing. Because these companies are going to join this trust network, and if you don't set up a digital whatever reveal, you can't access this trust network at all. What if you can't access it at all? They keep telling you as a choice, but what if you don't? What if you cannot access anything unless you set one of these up?
And then when you do set it up, imagine what it would be like if it basically functions in the same way that YouTube algorithms do, whereby you get shown what they want you to see as opposed to what you would normally go and watch. So let's say you've been watching a lot of, I don't know, talking head here, whoever the hell that is. Who's the geezer who just got fired? Morgan, there you go. Piers Morgan, right? Let's say you normally watch a lot of Piers Morgan. And Morgan has had an extra spicy take on the government, and the government decide they no longer like him. He's no longer one of the approved media outlets you can watch. And suddenly he is blacklisted on everything.
Yes.
Not just him personally, but you're not being shown any of his videos on YouTube. You're not being shown any of his videos on Odyssey or on Gab or on Twitter or Twitch or wherever. He's simply gone because they've flicked a button and said he's gone.
Well, that's exactly the point. I mean, they can literally do this to anyone. They can do it to nobodies like us, easy as anything.
Mm-hmm.
But they can certainly do it. Look at cancel culture. I mean, they can do it to people with influence. So we have no protection. No protection at all.
I'm just putting the link into chat again.
Thank
English
you.
will reminded. Well, English will reminded Andrew, in fairness, but that basically reminded me.
It does specifically say as well, this government is committed to delivering these benefits digitally without the need for a national identity card. So they had to get it in there. This is an either or option now. This is the way they're selling it. Mm-hmm. Oh, you won't need that pesky ID card because you'll have this instead. Well, this is just a digital version of it. At one point, further down in the breakdown of it, it talks about biometric information. So I don't want anyone to be fooled that this is not some kind of national identity card or digital. This is your digital fingerprint, essentially. And it's going to have everything you've ever done, every job, every qualification.
Everything. This is going to have your entire life.
But what happens when it starts storing things online, like, oh, I don't know, your media presence, your social media presence, comments you've made, accounts you've had, things you've said? This is a massive infringement of privacy.
And we know they can do this because they do this in China. This is the social credit score. There's no difference between the two systems. Or at the very least, this is the earliest possible implementation of such a system. This is getting everybody onto the trusted network, which automatically implies that there is then going to be some sort of untrusted network. Well, this entire thing is so interesting because it's Nudge City. I think that's the thing that you just read out, the little section that said, this government is committed to delivering these benefits digitally and without the need for a national identity card. That was the section you were referencing.
Yes.
There's really quite clever wording because it implies that they understand nobody likes the national identity card. Tony Blair, once again. But then it also frames it in a way whereby it isn't a national identity card. Thereby, it's more acceptable automatically.
Yes. Boudica says, I have an ideal of almost zero digital connection, but realize that's really hard. Yes, it is. But we can certainly reduce the amount of things we do online by being obviously productive offline. That's ultimately the goal. And Philomena says, this government wants to deperson us by using this digital identity. You're absolutely correct on that, because further down the document, it talks about a number being attributed to each person, each user. And they refer to us as users, which is really quite amazing. It starts off as citizens and you end up as users. So there's another section here. In most circumstances, users will be able to choose which organizations can see and share their personal data and how long they will have access to it for. In most circumstances. They will not have a choice in specific situations, for example, if they're subject of a police investigation. Now, given the way that some of the police officers have been behaving during the lockdown, for instance, are these legitimate investigations? Will they be in the future? Because I don't necessarily have trust or faith that they will. Just don't have it. Then they talk about who runs the trust framework. It will be overseen by a governing body chosen by the UK government, or like the Behavioural Insights team. Yes, we don't trust the government, but we'll definitely trust someone they appoint to run it. They've also got a section on deciding how complaints from users will be handled. They're already expecting complaints. I wonder what those complaints will be. You've abused my privacy, probably complaint number one.
Apparently, they're saying that the governing body would be responsible for.
Yes.
It's good to know.
The random shadowy governing body that they have yet to appoint. And it says here that your organisation must be certified before you can use the trust framework. To be certified, an independent certifying body, so that's another organisation they'll create.
And that will be a private company, or many private companies paying a license to become accredited.
To be certified, an independent certifying body will need to check that you meet all the requirements for the role you want to perform. You'll get a trust mark after you've been certified and approved. A trust mark. What is that? That is a two-tier system.
The only thing that I know called Trustmark is the it's the anti-pedo thing at sports clubs.
What?
I don't know. I don't know how best to describe it. The child protection thing at sports club. That's the only thing I know called Trustmark. It's strange that they've used that term for this.
Oh, well. I didn't know about that. It's good to know.
It's somewhat irrelevant, I'll accept that, but it's just it's odd how they're using the two words, or how they're using the same word to describe two separate things. It's just an oddity more than anything of use.
Well, these companies that are part of this trust network as well have to engage in intelligence and fraud analysis. And it says you must have a way to look for suspicious activity, monitor transactions, carry out threat intelligence. These are just companies like banks and, I don't know, credit score companies. It's just amazing.
It was really interesting is how often they credit score.
Yes. This is a further breach of our liberties. Okay, this digital. I'll read out the last section. It's worthy of some thought here. This is the last section on the report itself. You will get some information about the user and will be asked to provide identifiers that match it. This is if you are asked to take part in an investigation. You might also be asked to provide any of the following information if you have it. A user's name, date of birth, address or gender, the IP address, phone number or email address a user was using during a specific time period, the device fingerprint and geolocation of the device a user was using during a specific time period, the calling line identifier, CLI, not familiar with that term, a user was using during a specific time period, the reference numbers assigned to the user's account, unique references that identify the request you received, contraindicators and failure identifier codes, unique identifiers related to a piece of evidence, for example, a passport number. This is not as benign as it first appears. This is a lot of information. And it says, you may also be asked to provide any of the following information if you have it. If one company has all of that information, then you as a user have made a terrible mistake. And when you give one piece of information to one company in this trust network, and another piece of information to another, and another piece of information to another, and somebody decides to investigate you for good reasons or not, all of these companies will all be contacted, and they will mine all of your information and put it all together, a bit here and a bit there and a bit there. There will be companies that have everything you've ever said or done or been. And if people do not think this can be used against them, then they're incredibly naive. This is very worrying indeed.
Just imagine Facebook and Twitter moderation in the real world, and that's basically what this is going to become.
Yes. I will say, though, that the solution to this, as with many problems, is community. Get out of this system. Get out of this system of forced tax. Start working for yourself. Start learning a trade, learning a hobby, making some money. Start networking with your community, with your neighbours. Start building up your own trust networks, if we're going to use that term, of people who will stand with you and back you up when you need it. If you can start bartering a service for goods or a service for another service, this is the way out for you. We are going to have to move offline at some point, because there is no way, if this is brought into law and their aim is to make this law, there is no way for online anonymity. It doesn't matter how much, how well you behave or how badly, you are going to lose the right to just create an account to use a product or use a service and then leave. It's going to leave a footprint, and everyone who wants to will have access to it. And that's very dangerous. So everything we're doing now is to build up this community mindset, this idea that we can thrive outside of this system. Because ultimately, being online is not the goal. Being online is a stepping stone to the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal, of course, is to have real communities of like-minded people. People who will stand with us, people who will protect us when we need it, people who we will protect if they need it, people who believe in the things we believe in, have the same standards that we have, care about the same things that we do. That is the goal here. So while this is incredibly scary, this isn't all we've got. So I don't want anyone to be completely depressed by this. It's just another reason to start pushing forwards to taking our online communities and pushing them offline and making them real.
I think, not the exact opposite. I think this is a really good thing to be excited about. Because now we've got something tangible we can take to friends and family and say, hey, have you seen this? You know that government you really don't like? Well, now they want to give you a national identity card. Do you remember when Blair used to want that?
Yes, if you
it's just to
Blair.
Really, exactly. It's just a really nice way to bring people on board.
I think I read somewhere that he's the most hated man in Britain.
Oh, easily, by far. By a country mile and then some. It's not even difficult.
Although I will say, I think David Cameron's up there.
No.
You don't think so?
No. Oh, God, no. David Cameron, for all of his faults, at the very, very least, he will be somewhat accepted by the majority of this country because of it.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, at least he did get us to it.
Exactly. He has a redeeming quality. Tony Blair. You know, what redeeming quality does Tony Blair have?
I'm trying to think of one. Can anyone in the chat think of one?
He's got great hearing, I reckon.
The fact that he's mortal and therefore everything must come to an end. That's pretty much
But
the only way I can think of.
to be fair, are you sure about that? Have you seen Soros recently?
Well, Soros is defying all things physical. There's no way he could still be alive with his skin just dripping off his face like that. But
There we go. Ian's got this. He's a good liar. What's that? That's one well, it's not redeeming quality, but it's a positive aspect, I suppose.
I suppose it's a talent, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's more like it.
Sean says policing in the wrong direction. Absolutely. The thing that struck me after reading this was we're supposed to be in the middle of the worst global pandemic in recorded history, and yet these idiots in the government have had time to vomit up this nightmare that I was going to say that nobody wants. Of course, there are people who are going to want it. The masks and all that other nonsense was probably the dry run for this, wasn't it?
Well, that's another aspect of this. Imagine what happens now. They bring in the mask mandate. We all have to mask up. They've got the facial recognition software that they need in supermarkets and every CCTV camera they want. When you walk into shops nowadays, it sees you're not wearing a mask. It gives you some sort of demerit point on your social credit score.
Yeah.
We are not very far away from it.
Conformists. Free folk. I keep alluding to Game of Thrones here. We are the wildlings, the free folk.
I like that. Wildlings.
We're the other side of the wall. And we live by sensible societal rules where, you treat other people the way you wish to be treated. My right to swing my arm ends at your face, just common sense. Mr. 262 says war criminal cabbage patch head. Oh, I don't know. I think you're being too kind there. So Francis is drawing a blank. Can't think of any attributes. Yes, you did nail that one. Well done, Ian. Sean says redeeming how? Just something nice. Just something that you could say that's a good quality.
He's a decent public speaker. I said decent. I never said great.
He's a public regurgitator. The Rusky Tube, thank you for this, says ID cards will be a honeypot to identify thieves and fraudsters, some of whom may get themselves employed by the very institutions that manage our personal and private data. Well, yes, those institutions are already managing a lot of our data. His name's Tony, says Rowanwood. That's the best thing you can think of. Okay.
Tony's a pretty solid name, in fairness. But yeah, I really think this is an incredible own goal on their end.
Yeah.
Because nobody likes the government at this moment in time. It's perfectly obvious. Nobody liked this policy where they brought it in or tried to bring it in. Now all you need to do is just mush them together and say, hey, look, have you seen what they're trying to do yet again? And just equate Tony Blair and whatever this thing is, and people will take an instant dislike to it.
Yes. Boudica says, I know I shouldn't wish for a complete and sustained grid down situation, but that would take care of this whole digital ID mess. I think for some people, this is going to come down to your choices used to be this many, now they're this many. Do you want to wait another year until they're this many? I'm not an accelerationist. Sometimes I fantasize about it, wishing the whole system would just shut down, because I think the system is dirty and corrupt, as I've made clear, everyone knows. But I also think that while the system is still in place, as long as we utilize that time wisely, we can't sit here without, sit on our hands and say, well, I was going to say something rude then. If we don't sit here and just wait for the clock to tick down and say, well, I wish we'd done some more planning. If we do something useful with the time that we've got, I'm quite happy for it to continue, because they cannot help themselves at this point. And I think that the more they do to try and take control, undeserved and non-consented control, the more even the conformers now will start to push back. So, and I will say as well, I think a lot of people do dislike what's going on, but they'll conform regardless. And that's a real shame. But again, people need to know that there are choices. Maybe
I
a lot
agree
of that they
sorry.
conform because there's nothing else. Sorry.
That's what I was about to point out. They only agree because there doesn't seem to be anything else. If people start realizing that the majority of people around them really, really, really don't like something, such as this national identity card, then there's at least something going on there. Even if it doesn't result in any sort of direct action, there is at least the understanding that this is something we all agree on. We all truly hate this. Much like with the lockdowns at the moment. I don't know of many people who actually like them. I don't think there are many people who actually like them. I think at best people tolerate them. Even the weird screaming leftists that sit on Twitter all day, I think at best they tolerate them because even them deep down know that this is wrong.
Yes. Yeah, that's a fair point. I will say though, when we talk about choices, if we could create these working communities and they started popping up all over the place, that is by default giving people choices. People who would otherwise conform to this might start to look at these communities and say, well, hang on a minute. I can be a part of a thriving community and run my business and have a customer base and network with great people who believe the same things I do. I don't have to join up to this 1984 nightmare. So by creating these communities, we are in fact giving people choices. And if you look at this idea that the majority will kind of follow what the majority or what they perceive the majority to be doing, let's be that majority. Let's create these working communities and show people that this isn't the only way forward. But it will take all of us to do this. If you can't create one where you are, promote the idea. If you can't promote the idea, then do some work in the background. Just start making people see what's really going on. There's something we can all do. There really is. And having choice, and I'm not talking about the illusion of choice, an actual choice, people will tend to go with the majority when they think that there is no other option. Well, let's show them that there are options. You don't have to do this. Arkanto says, doesn't seem to matter what people dislike. They'll take it as long as the power and water flow. Yeah, we've talked about this before. When people are comfortable, they probably won't do much to contribute towards change. I mean, power and water is getting down to basics at the moment. People are still in their little sort of zombie mode for Netflix, aren't they? And the usual stuff. It just keeps us all very calm and docile. It won't last. It's another nudge, distraction. We need to stop being distracted by easy things. Nothing in life was gained through laziness, through taking the easy path. It's going to be hard work, but it's going to be worthwhile. And nothing in life is free, right? You can't just inherit an amazing future. You have to build it. You have to work for it. And that's really the point of these communities. I mean, people are already working extremely hard. Lots of these small communities are popping up. Lots of people are trying to do their bit. But all of those people are disconnected. Bringing those people together in our network of just good people with decent values who want to work hard and have a better future for their children is a perfectly fine goal. It just needs more people to step up and be a part of it. And hopefully, as the message gets out, as people start to see the corruption for what it is, that network will grow. and people will start to raise themselves up because no one else can do it for them. They have to take that step themselves. You're very quiet, Jordan.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking of the best way to use this. There was actually one comment I wanted to read out, and you're getting there really slowly. It's from Mr. 262, who quotes the end, right at the very, very end of the document where they go over a little glossary. They define in their own words what the trust framework is. And it is a set of rules and specifications that organizations agree to follow in order to achieve a common purpose. As he says, that's an interesting couple of words at the end there.
Common purpose. What a surprise. Never heard that phrase before. Yeah, they've also managed to squeeze in Build Back Better into that document too.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, one minute, I didn't see that.
Let me try and find where it says it. I've got it in my notes somewhere. I should have highlighted that one, shouldn't I?
I don't see Build Back Better. Oh, well, such is life.
It's definitely in there. Well, anyway, if you check the document, Build Back Better is in there as well. Sean P says, Bill Gates, and quote, "You don't have a choice. People think they have a choice. People do have a choice. Bill Gates wants people to think they don't have a choice." He's such a manipulator, isn't he, Sean? I really can't stand the man.
The artful nudger.
The Rusky Tube says it only takes 3 or 4 unique pieces of information about an individual to be able to infer a considerable amount about their personality and to distinguish them from a crowd. Again, we're already seeing this 2-tier system. You've got the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, the maskers and the anti-maskers. The divisions are coming thick and fast, and this will be another division. Oh, another one. Sorry to hear that, Aramis. A lot of people have loved ones getting the jab. You can only lead them to water, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's not much else you can do.
It's frustrating. We just have to hope that the first one is benign.
Sailing.
A trust exercise, if you will. A placebo. Yeah, thank you. Yes, this is good. Thank you, John. We had a power cut a few days ago. Wood burner was burning. I went round to some neighbours to see if they had candles. People remember that. Yes, they do. People always remember how you make them feel and what you've done for them. This is why we always say if you can find a skill or do something that can make you useful to your community, that will make you valuable within your community. Yes, exactly, Ragnar. This, I mean, when they talk about a digital, they didn't say the words, but it's a digital passport essentially. And they're talking about their global partners. This is the NWO. This is it. This is all of this culminating. Zant says, getting less bother recently with the masklessness, people tiring of asking, hopefully. I think people are just fatigued with the whole thing now. This is good. I described this film to you, didn't I, Jordan?
You did indeed.
Village. I really liked the premise. It was a naff film, but the premise was amazing.
They do mention passport number on the what was it? They put it under how digital identities and attributes will be shared section of this document. They also reference passports a number of times throughout this document. They mention it 7 times.
Yeah, there's no way that this won't be abused. Absolutely no way. It's
The
true.
examples they give as to why it could be useful are so bad.
You mean the benefits for us? Yeah, there's a vague reference to one. There's no real detail of it. It's more like companies can operate more efficiently. It's all about companies. There's not really any user benefit. The examples are naff. It's still an infringement of privacy at the end of the day.
We should go through all these examples and pick out the top 5.
That would be a job and a half.
I think we might end up with 1.
Anyway, yeah, so not to be doom and gloom. Remember, the answer to this, as with most problems, is community. I do hope people have embraced the idea that you need to have allies. You need to know who you can rely on in an emergency. This is basic. Everyone should have this. Regardless of where you live, everyone should have this. Unless you're lucky enough, of course, to have friends and family living close by, in which case you already have them. It would be good, though, for all of us to have someone, a go-to person, someone that we can count on in an emergency. Like
we also have to become that go-to person as well.
Yes, yeah, it has to be give and take. You can't just lean on other people. You have to be someone that others trust and lean on themselves. It's it's really important that we safeguard ourselves first and foremost. Then we can focus on the other things, like detaching from this corrupt, dirty system that, as you can see from this document and many other examples, is just designed to eradicate everything that makes us free, one thing at a time. I cannot see any outcome for the current system now, except to see more and more people reject it and move away from it. And that's great. That's actually great for us. I don't want the right to hurt other people, and I don't want the right to cause chaos and upset people. I just want the right to be left alone. And I'm sure most people would agree with me. The right to make decisions, the best decisions for yourself and your family, without government interference. They've really overstepped during this last year. And they're doubling down. There's just more and more and more.
They keep rolling the dice and only looking for 2 6s. Eventually, their luck is going to run out, and I think this is the thing. Or maybe if this isn't the thing, I think they're certainly getting close to it, because it's a build-up.
Yeah.
How many things has the government done over the last 10 years that people really, really, really don't like?
But they go
just in the last,
because they don't feel they have a choice. Well, there's lots of things, aren't there? So many, in fact, I can't think of a single one, actually.
I'm in the same position. I can't really pick out a single one other than the lockdown at the moment, but I know there's loads of them. Like, look, I know it only affects a relatively small portion of the country, but look at the nonsense that Sadiq Khan wanted to bring in with the congestion charge. You're going to end up having to spend 30 odd quid a day just to drive into London. You know, things like that really, really, really outraged people because it was just too expensive. It was far too much. It was overreach at the extreme. And it's a slow and gradual build-up.
This is the thing, again, I mean, I think this is overreach. I think this is, they take and they take and they take your freedoms, and then they take another freedom and they take another freedom. maybe this is the perfect time for them to do this, because they think that people are so demoralized, so distraught over the last year that they just won't care or won't notice.
To be fair to them in this regard, this one almost did go unnoticed. At least by us. If it wasn't for Andrew Pott, who came across this, and you came across this as well, I would have had no idea about this whatsoever.
It's certainly quiet.
It is very bloody quiet. Very, very sneaky.
In fact, has it been in any of the media?
I have not seen this one. Even when you Google it, hardly anything comes up. When you go on to Google, one of the first things that came up earlier on for me was the World Economic Forum. Right.
Shocker.
Well, yeah. There you go. It was mentioned in Computers Weekly. Mentioned in the Law Society. Like, don't get me wrong, the Law Society, relatively important. Not sure many people are really going to be going there. Other than that, no, I have not seen this crop up in a single paper.
You mean the unbiased media are not holding the government to account over this absolute destruction of our privacy?
Nope.
I'm amazed. Well, now Sean says there has to be a rebellion from the Lords or something. Doesn't Boris's 80-seat majority mean that during this lockdown, certainly, he's been able to implement legislation without taking it to a vote? Or am I misreading that?
Yeah, but the Lords won't do anything anyway. The Lords are so incredibly weak and pathetic these days. They're all yes men anyway. That's the only reason they're there. Honestly, of all things that Tony Blair did, I really think the in the House of Lords were the worst.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
This is interesting. Just before we wrap up. Sorry, just before we wrap up, I've just come across a link. Digital Identity Certification Lead, Civil Service Jobs. They're already looking for certification leads. This is a done deal.
Well, there you go.
I will say that the page is no longer there, but it was there on the 14th. Just taking a screenshot of that. I'm going to pop that onto the Discord as well.
Well, once again, just a reminder that, you can't beat the system by being a part of the system. The system doesn't owe us anything, or it doesn't think it owes us anything. It isn't working for our benefit. This is all the consolidation of power. Power for them. And the only way they have power is if they take it from us. And we can keep giving them power, or we can start to take our power back. And when I say our power, I mean the power to have choices, the power to have privacy, the freedom to raise your children safely, in a wholesome manner, teaching them the things that they actually need to get by in the world, like the ability to read and write, not some activist's opinion on what they should think about some random group. It's down to us now to show other people that there are choices, that we have made those choices for ourselves, and that it's incredibly easy, once you've decided that you're not going to take part in this system anymore, to start disengaging from it. It really is easy, because you just take one step at a time, disengage one piece at a time. They're taking our freedoms one at a time. Well, let's take them back one at a time. They only get to do this to us if we consent, or if we do nothing. If everything we do from now on empowers us, that's taking power from them. And that's the way it should always be. They're called public servants for a reason. And they're no longer fit for purpose. They do not serve the public, they serve themselves. It's time that we started having the same mindset. Look after yourselves and your families and your friends and your community, and they will look after you. It's that simple now. People are going to have to pick their team. And your team should be your friends and your neighbours and your family. Those are the people who genuinely care what happens to you. Not these shadowy figures in government or behind it. Because to them, we're units, users. What do they call us? Users, right? User number.
They do indeed call us users.
Like a game simulation where it doesn't, like playing The Sims, it doesn't matter if you kill someone off because it's just a simulation. They don't see us as human beings. They don't care if we live or we die, if we're healthy or we're sick. They just don't care because it doesn't affect them. As long as that economy keeps running. So, let's stop engaging with it. Let's stop funding it. Stop funding them. These people do literally nothing to earn the money they get paid and all the perks they take. And yet, they got paid all throughout this lockdown. Paid by you. While they were preventing you from going to work to provide for your family. These people do not care, and it's time we stop caring about them. Consumption units, there you go. Perfect. Perfect analogy. We're consumers. We use the products and services and we pay for them. And we pay for things whether we like it or not. Let's stop paying. Let's just stop. Stop funding that system, and that system will ultimately fall. And the more people that see these communities popping up, where people are free to speak their mind, where they work together because it benefits all of them, the more people will start to belong to those communities and join those communities, and they will grow. And then one day, in the not too distant future, those communities will be the norm across all of our countries. The outliers will be the people propping up the system. That's the way we've got to make it. If we want to have any influence, we've got to control our own social area, our social environment. So spend time with people that you share values with, who care about the things that you do, and network. It's very easy to say I know, and it's a lot harder to do. But just try with one person. Just one person, and see how you get on. Or invite some friends over and help each other. Have friends help you with your neighbours, and then go and help them with their neighbours. I think a lot of people are more aware of what's going on than they're letting on. But because of this snitch society that the government have created, too many people are afraid to say what they really think. There are ways to find out. You can talk about things that everyone knows about. The lockdowns. Ask people their opinion on the lockdown. If people
Ask people their opinion on this thing.
Yeah. To talk about privacy. Talk about what do you think? What do you think about this government's privacy footprint thing? That this digital privacy thing they're bringing in, where everything you've ever done is going to belong to private companies. Just don't go in hard with the NWO and all that, because a lot of people who know nothing about it are going to just shut down at that point.
Exactly. Going in with things like the World Economic Forum, while it makes sense to us, and it is true, this is one example where being true doesn't actually matter as much as getting other people to start questioning things, start moving down the path.
Absolutely.
you can go full Alex Jones and go, the frogs are gay, but that's not really helping the average person. And I also butchered that. Sorry, it's the turn the freaking fry.
Yeah, that was better.
Thank you. It doesn't do anything to go down that line. You have to lead people softly, slowly.
Just start with the stuff that you know everyone knows about, because this is a journey that we're all on, and we're all at different stages in the journey. There are people who haven't yet started that journey. But I guarantee you there are people, even in your neighbourhood, who know something is wrong. But maybe they're just getting all their information from the mass media, but they can still see something is wrong. Those are the people to talk to. And you can start with the stuff that they can see with their own two eyes.
Things like this is why I think this is such a massive own goal. Nobody likes the national identity card idea. That's why they had to specify this isn't a national identity card, even though it is.
Yeah.
In all practical way, this is the national identity card 2.0.
Yeah, and if you're in the UK, bring up Tony Blair, because everyone despises Tony Blair.
Exactly. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing for us because this is a great icebreaker. You know, the next time you're at a birthday party or something, like kids' birthday party, when we're allowed to have those once again, going around and you're talking to your uncles you haven't seen in a while, bring this up, point it out.
I would definitely. If you're able to, you've only got until tomorrow, I believe, to
midday tomorrow.
Right, midday tomorrow. So that's UK time. So that's in approximately, what is it now? 8 o'clock. So that's 12, 16 hours.
Roughly.
So yeah, take a screenshot or download the PDF or something so you can share it with people.
Andrew has put the link into Discord. I'm just trying to find it.
Well, Andrew brought up something important as well, that there are still a lot of people who are kind of waking up to all this, who don't have the internet for whatever reason. Try and grab some things on a mobile device so you can show them. And let them read it. The only thing we can do now for those people is make them aware of the information. Maybe that will start a conversation. Maybe that will lead to the beginning of your community coming together. It's worth a try, right? There's literally nothing for you to lose and so much for you to gain. So it's worth a try. Okay, I think on that note, we're going to wrap up. A couple of things we want to mention. Don't leave anyone yet.
One second. Before you do that, I was muted. I didn't realise. I just said that I'd put a little at everyone on Discord so everyone can go and find the link from there. I'm also going to pop into chat one more time and you can carry on. Apologies.
Okay. Right. So first things first, if you're on DLive, please hang around because I've just stuck 500 lemons in the chest. It's been so long, I almost forgot how to do it.
Oh my, it's been so long I can hardly do the lemon voice.
Do it again.
I'm dehydrated. This is the issue. No, I literally I can't do it. I need a drink. 1 second.
Yeah, go and have a pint of water. That's the funniest thing. Yes, they're back. For some reason, in case anyone missed this discussion at the start of the show, the X tag has been removed and lemons are back, which means if you want your Warden stickers, of course, you can get those again. While Jordan's hydrating, I'm going to throw some lemons your way. So if everyone's ready, let's go.
Lemons.
That's
still quite right.
You're a bit rusty.
Right. It's been a long while.
For those of you on all platforms, we have a quick announcement. We did mention it on our last stream, but in case you missed it for any reason, we have the gardening show. We've been kind of and ahhing about the schedule, but we've finally nailed it down. So we're very pleased to announce that the gardening show is going to be a regular thing. That will be every second Thursday. The first gardening show, now that we've sorted that, will be tomorrow. It will be hosted by Andrew and Jonathan. So we hope that you'll all turn up. We hope that you'll have some questions ready for either or both of them. And so there you go. This is why we dig. And we will be there tomorrow. And we will, if you have any questions, please ask them. If you have anything that you want to ask, maybe make a note of it before the show starts. As always, it will be a 7:30 start time. That's UK time. So we hope to see you there. How did the lemons go? Let's go back and check. Oh, okay.
I didn't get any lemons. Not even one.
Why would you?
I don't know. Do you know what? Racist.
Right, now it says, I've always read out this thing that the lemon chest says, the more engagement, the more lemons you get. But I think that's a con, because I was on Washstream one time and I made quite a large donation because I didn't have anywhere else to spend the lemons. and I got the biggest payout. So I don't quite know how it works. Or maybe it's just random. Who knows? I literally made one post. So there you go. Anyway,
I do remember that because I was really annoyed. I was in chat talking, actually engaging with people, and you rocked up. You said one thing, you donated some lemons, and you got all the bloody lemons.
yeah, exactly.
Nick
So,
also has his things back. And
yes.
as Sean has just said, he is going live for 9.
Yes, 9 o'clock, if anyone wants to go there. So the luckiest followers were Will, Sir Francis, Philomena, Green and Pleasant Land, Johnny Not Pal. Philomena, you're going to be our go-to now, our guide. If you're getting lemons, we know it's all working. So everyone enjoy your lemons. Yay, the lemons are back. It was very weird not having the lemons, I won't lie. So there you go. Enjoy, everyone. Thank you, as always, for joining us this evening, for listening to us ramble. This was very, very important, though, that we have this information. So big thank you to Andrew for posting it up on the Discord. So again, a quick reminder, it's This Is Why We Dig tomorrow at 7:30. Hope you'll all turn up for that. It's going to be a fantastic show. I believe we're going back to basics. We want to try and raise everyone up to the same point. So we're going to get people starting with their gardening as well. So for anyone who's thinking about doing it for the first time, we're going to have a resident expert here. Hate the word expert now, sorry. And he will answer all of your gardening questions. Let's get everyone growing something this year. Start being self-sufficient. It's incredibly empowering. And you will feel so much pride when you grow your first tomato or carrot or whatever it is that you want to grow. So we'll see you tomorrow night for that. Jordan, is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
No, I'm good.
Okay. In that case, wish everyone a very good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
See you then.
Bye for now.